Hello everyone, welcome back and let's start. So in the last session, what we have discussed here is we discussed about the AWS creating the users in the Active Directory and managing the users that we have seen. Let me log on to my AWS console. Okay, today what we will be doing here is we will be discussing about the AWS to Azure connectivity. We just logged on to our server, AWS account. Once we have logged into our AWS account, now today, what we are going to do here. So first of all, let us see the Active Directory. So if I go back to the Active Directory, do I have that managed Active Directory is there or not? We deleted it just for out of curiosity. I'm checking it out. Okay, there is no Active Directory. So previously, if you see, we have created the Active Directory. We created the Active Directory through the AWS managed. It's an AWS managed Active Directory which we have created. So today what we will do here is we will create an EC2 instance. We will try to create an EC2 instance. And with the help of that EC2 instance, what I can do here is I will deploy the Active Directory inside that EC2 instance. And then I will create the users and integrate the users with my AWS environment. So what is the actual configuration that we are going to do here is here we will have a VPC. Okay. Inside the VPC, we will be having our subnets. Inside the subnets, what I am going to do here is I will create an Active Directory. In my AWS environment, I will create the Active Directory. This is my Microsoft AD, Microsoft Active Directory. And then here in my AWS account, I am having organizations. AWS organizations are there. Okay, AWS organizations are there. So inside the AWS organizations, I am having the multiple accounts are there. AWS organizations. Here you will be having the management account. Right now we are creating the Active Directory in the management account only. Management account, and then there will be a development account. There will be a development account, and then there will be a production account. All these accounts are connected together in the AWS organizations. All these accounts are connected together in the AWS organizations. Okay. Now this is my management and this is my development and this is my production. Now here in the Microsoft Active Directory, what I am going to do here is I am going to create some users. So who are the users? For example, I will create like Arun and then Banu and then Charan and Kiran, some different types of users I will be creating. So for all these users, what I will do here is, okay, for Arun, I can provide the access on the development account. Okay, so how we are going to provide that? We are going to provide the access on the development account through the IAM Identity Center. All these AWS organizations will be visualized inside the IAM Identity Center. IAM Identity Center will be there. Inside that, we can see the AWS organizations. So first things first, what is my requirement? I want to create this Microsoft Active Directory server. How I can create the Microsoft Active Directory server? So let me go back to the instances. We'll be going ahead with the Hyderabad location. Launch instances. This is my Microsoft AD. This is my Microsoft Active Directory server, Windows environment. I'll go with the 2025 base is also fine. Okay. So T3 medium is not sufficient. I have to go with T3 large. Let me go with the T3 large. T3 micro is not sufficient. Okay. Key pair will be laptop key. And then I want to create the server in the Polaris subnet. Select an existing security group, default security group. and then launch the instance. So we just created a Microsoft server, Windows server. Inside that Windows server, what we are going to do here is we will be configuring the Active Directory. And after configuring the Active Directory, what we can do, we can go ahead for connecting the Active Directory. So here, what we are going to do is directory services. When you go to the directory services, there are two options that are available. One is the managed Active Directory. If you want to set up a directory, there are two options. One is the managed Active Directory, which we have seen in the last session. So the Active Directory server will be created by the AWS itself. And then AD connector is there. AD connector means whatever the on-premises environment Active Directory is there, or else whatever the Active Directory that you have created in the cloud environment. So you can connect that Active Directory server to your to our what I can say, to this particular directory. We can set up with the AD connector, and then what we can do, whoever are the users that are there in that Active Directory, they can be integrated to our AWS environment. And after integrating the users to the AWS environment, what we are going to do, we are going to provide the permissions on the different accounts for different users. So that is what the concept we are going to discuss now. So understood? So whatever the Active Directory that we have created over here, from this Active Directory to our Identity Center, we are going to have an AD connector. With the help of AD connector, we can get that Active Directory into our AWS environment. And then in the IAM Identity Center, when we go to the organizations, whoever are the users that are created in this Active Directory will be provisioned with the required permissions on the different accounts. So that is what going to happen here.
Then just reiterating. In the last class, what we did was we created an AD we created a managed AD, right?
Yes,
And
AWS managed Active Directory, that is.
even identity center was within the
AWS only.
AWS only. Now we are creating a separate AD, which is, let's say, our on-prem, right?
Hmm.
We're trying to connect it with our IAM Identity Center,
Hmm.
which is within our AWS
AWS.
organization, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And these users are connected in the on-prem.
Yes. In the server. So once the server is up, I will show you.
Okay.
So this is our Active Directory server. Let me log on to the server. But before that, connect RDP client. I want to generate the password. Get the password. Upload the private key file. This is the default.key.pem and decrypt the password. So once we have decrypted the password, we downloaded the remote desktop file. No? Okay. Let me copy the password. Connect. Provide the password over here. Yes. Now we just logged into our server. It's a normal Windows server. Okay. So later what I can do here is, right now it is a normal server, guys. It is not called as an Active Directory server, domain controller. So there are so many names. So until we install the Active Directory, it is a server. So once we have installed the Active Directory, it is called as a domain controller. Okay, there are so many another domain controllers are there. Primary domain controllers, secondary domain controller, child domain controller, grandchild domain controller, like that. There are so many domain controllers are available. But right now we are going with a normal server. Okay. So now here I will go to PowerShell. In the PowerShell, I just want to check the IP address of this particular server. Before I convert the server into domain controller, I need to make some changes. What are those? IP config 1025 to 18 is the IP address of this particular server. IP config / all, which is going to provide the DNS also 1025.02. Okay. So this is the IP address of this particular server. Now, before I do that, I will go to local user manager lusr mgr.msc and I will change the administrator password. Every time to provide that big password is something difficult for me. So I'm going to set a password, simple password for myself for this particular administrator. Okay, done. So once it is done, now what I can do here is So whatever the IP address of the server is there, no, so that will be the DNS of the server, ncpa.cpl. Okay, here network connectivity is there. Change the properties IPv4 and then use the following. I will provide like this, and here it will be 10.25.0 dot, what is the DNS here? 0.2. Okay, 0.2. Done. So now let us go to the server manager. Server manager. So in the server manager, what I can do here is I can create or else I can install the Active Directory roles. Manage, add roles and features. It will take some time. So hold on. Manage, add roles and features. Come on. Okay, let it come. So now what I will do here is, here you can see it is in the workgroup environment. Okay, right now the server is in the workgroup environment. Once we install the Active Directory now, so then what will happen here? Manage, add roles and features. Next, next, role based, next. Hmm, it is taking too much of time. Okay, let it come. So before that, what I can do here is I will go to the portal.azure.com. Okay, it will take any which ways, it is going to take a lot of time. So I will go to my resource groups. So let me delete all these resource group. This is not required. One second. Okay, done. So now what I will do here is I will go to Microsoft Entra. Okay. See, majority number of the companies won't have their Active Directory. Like previously, we used to have the on-premises Active Directory, but right now, no companies are using the on-premises Active Directory. Everyone are going with the Azure Active Directory. So previously it is called as Azure Active Directory, but right now we are calling it as Microsoft Entra. Okay, Entra ID or Entra. So here in this Microsoft Entra, what you will be having here is you will be having the users. Okay, we can create the users. Okay, add user, username, and the username is somewhere like I can give my name itself, Chaitanya. Chaitanya, and then display name is okay. Last name is mandatory here. Next, so last name is I will go with Kumar. Member job title. So if you want to provide all this information, you can provide this all the information. Otherwise, you can simply go for next, review, and create. Okay, display name is also Chaitanya. Next, review and create. So now Chaitanya user will be created. So this is how you can create the users in the Azure Active Directory. So the first one is whenever you create the Azure account. So if you have the Azure account, that is well and good. If you don't have the Azure account, just to look after this video, that's more than enough. So if you are having an Azure account, so one thing that you have to do here is by default, when you create a Microsoft account, an Entra ID will be generated, a tenant ID will be generated. So if you see here, when you go to the Microsoft Entra, by default you can see these things, users, groups, and everything. So already we have added the users. So the next one, what I am going to do here is I will be adding the enterprise application over here. So what is the enterprise application that I want to add here is new application. Okay, new application. Here, here I can go with identity center. Identity center. So here you can see AWS IAM Identity Center is there now. So this application you have to select. So why? Because we need to integrate the IAM Identity Center with the Azure, where the users are available. Users are available in the Azure Active Directory. So I want to integrate the IAM Identity Center with the Azure Active Directory. So for that reason, what I am going to do here is I am going to create this application. Okay, once we have created this application, next what I am going to do, so I will go back to the what happened here to my server. Okay, I'll come back to the server later. First of all, let us complete that. I'll go to IAM Identity Center. In the IAM Identity Center, so this is how it will be looking like. Go back to the settings. In the settings, what I can do here is I can change the identity source from where you want to get the users. So I want to get the users from the external identity provider. Okay, so it is, I mean, I am getting the users from the Azure Active Directory. So that's why I'm selecting the external identity provider. If you are getting within the AWS managed Microsoft Active Directory or else through the AD connector, then you can select the Active Directory over here. But I am getting it from Azure Active Directory, so I am going with the external identity provider. Next. So you can download this metadata file. So this is very important. Metadata file is important. So download it. And then what you have to do here is once you have downloaded this metadata file, these URLs are also important. Go to your, what I can say, application, whatever the identity center application that we have created in the identity center application inside the Azure account. What we can do here is we have already created the user enterprise application. We added it, single sign-on also. We created the application. Okay, once the application is created, single sign-on. So go to set up the single sign-on, or else here also you can see the single sign-on option will be there. So select the single sign-on, SAML. Okay, security assertion markup language. We already downloaded that SAML file. So simply what they are requesting, identity provider required. Okay, basic SAML configuration. Simply you can upload the metadata file. whatever the metadata file that we have downloaded, we are going to upload that metadata file over here. From where we downloaded it, from the identity center, whatever the metadata file that I have downloaded, I'm going to upload that metadata file. So select. So this is the metadata file which I am going to upload it. Okay, AP South 2 region, this is fine. And URLs are also okay. So sign in URL is not required, it's optional. Okay. So simply you can save it. You can come down and you can save it. Once you have saved here, it will automatically find the identifier and the reply URL. So you can see here. Here you can see, if you want to test it, if you want to test it, what you can do here is you can test it. Okay, XML file is there. Okay, XML file is there. So in this XML file, click download the federation metadata file. So if you want to test the connectivity between the AWS IAM Identity Center, you can test it also. Okay, test the sign in. If you want to test it right now, it is not recommended. Why? Because it's a single way of communication only. That's why it will not be completed right now. So we will test it later. So come down here, whatever the see from the AWS, we got a metadata file that we have uploaded in the Azure saying that in this particular location, I want the users to be synchronized. So I want to do the same with the Azure also. I am downloading this federation metadata.xml file. Okay, this file has to be downloaded. So here you can see, click on download federation metadata.xml and download it. Once you have downloaded it, now let me go back to the, I will go back to the AWS environment. In the AWS environment, so here you can see identity provider metadata is there. No, so here you have to upload that YML, sample file which we have downloaded from the Azure. So look at here. Now go to AWS IAM Identity Center. Now provide the download federation file and click next. So choose the file, this one, and next. Okay, accept it. Let me copy this. Change the identities. So now the identity source has been changed. What is the identity source currently? The identity source is Azure Active Directory or else Azure Entra. So once it is done, then what we are going to do here is, here you can see when we go to the settings, there will be automatic provisioning will be there. We can enable it. Okay, so if I go back to the, here you can see there will be, where is it? Import certificate, these are all not required. There will be automatic provisioning will be there. I'm just looking after that. Let me go back to the settings. Authentication. This one, automatic provisioning is there now. So we need to enable it. So after enabling it, it will generate a token. These two are very important. The URLs are very important. You can copy the endpoint IPv4 only or dual stack URLs. Okay, these URLs you can copy. I'll go with I will go with the dual stack. Dual stack means both IPv4 and IPv6 will be coming. This is the URL and this is the access token. Okay, so that authentication will be happening between AWS and Azure. Okay, and later what we can do here is, so this is what we have done, automatic provisioning. Inbound automatic provisioning will happen. Okay, we have copied the token also. Anyway, just keep that window open like that only. Go back to the Azure. In the Azure, you can click on the provisioning. Okay, so now go to the Azure Enterprise application, select provisioning, click on provisioning. Here you will be having the provisioning. In the provisioning means we are provisioning the users from here to there, from Azure to AWS. Okay. So now go to the manage provisioning, and mode is automatic. So when I give automatic here, it will ask you for the tenant URL. What is the tenant URL? This is the tenant URL. Let me copy it. And the tenant token will be this one. And test the connection. So from Azure to AWS, we are checking the connection. The connection got successful, and we can save it. Okay. Once we have saved this, then what we can do here is the users are there now. Now select the users and groups to add the user and click on add group, or else add user / group, and then select the users and click assign. Then we can see the users are added. So now what I want to do here is, once this saving is done, then we can go back to the users and groups. Okay, add users and groups, whoever are the users that are available, users. So among these users, which users you want to replicate in the AWS environment? So who are working with the AWS? All users will not work with the AWS, no. For example, Anil is working with AWS, Chaitanya is working with AWS, and yeah, Bala is also working with AWS. These users I will select and assign. So once we have assigned these 3 users, okay, we just assign the 3 users. Now what will happen when you go back to your AWS environment? Here, those users will be replicated. Within short span of time, what will happen here is the users will be replicated. Let's wait for some time. Okay, we can provide the permission on the AWS account. That's fine. Assign, already we have assigned the users. Just I will go back to the provisioning one more time. Provisioning status, let me add provisioning status on, save it. So once we have saved it, so here I just need to check out the users. I need to get those users over here. So just wait for a couple of minutes. Let the users will be coming. Before that, what I can do, let the users come. I will go back to our Active Directory. Okay, our AWS Active Directory. So here you have to select Active Directory domain services, add features, next, 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 and install. So now we have installed the Active Directory. So it is still not yet converted as a domain controller. It is only the server only. Once the Active Directory service role is installed, and then when we convert that, promote the server as a domain controller, then it will be converted into the domain controller. Okay. So what about the users? Yeah, here you can see we got the users from the Azure to from Azure to our AWS environment. Slowly Chaitanya will also be coming over here. So now what I will do, I will go to my AWS accounts, assign users and groups. Under the development account for AWS Kumar, assign users and groups, users. So here you can see Anil user is there. Select the Anil user, next, and what are the permissions that you want to provide. So on the development account, I want to provide the administrator access for the Anil user, submit, and then on the production account for Anil user, I will provide the EC2 access. On the production account for Anil user, I can provide the EC2 access. And for Bala user, on both the accounts, we can provide the S3 access. So let's see how we can connect to them. So this is how we can integrate Azure with the AWS environment. Any which ways, I will provide you the document. You can go through that once. So now let us go back to our dashboard. In the dashboard, what you can do, let me copy the URL and provide it over here. This is the URL. No? Dual stack. I will take dual stack. Okay. So it is asking for the Microsoft access. So what is the user ID? So this is the user ID. Okay, next the user password will be the wrong password. Okay, 1 second. I think the password has been changed. I'll go with users and groups. Anil user is there, no? For Anil user, I will reset the password. Let me copy this password. I'll give it over here. Once I signed into that account, so next. So download the Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator app in your mobile phone. Next, set up your account. Next, scan the QR code. Okay, good. Next, 65. I will provide that in my mobile number in my mobile, so that the authentication will be approved. Once the authentication is approved, then the user will be signed into my AWS account portal. Here you can see we are having two accounts. So on one account he is having the administrator permissions. On the another account, so once he logged in, he will be able to access the administrator on 3432 account. And in the another account, that is in the development account, in the production account, once he logged into the production account, automatically he will be logging out of the development account. So like that, what you can do, you can provide a single sign-on with the help of IAM Identity Center through, for the users who are there in the Azure Active Directory. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So this is how we can create the users and we can modify the users depending on the, we can integrate the users with the AWS environment. Azure users can be integrated with AWS environment. Right. So now what about our Active Directory? Promote the server to the domain controller. The domain name is polaris.local. So it's a forest. Okay. So there is a concept of forest, trees. Okay. So in Active Directory, it's like a very big. So it will take minimum 30 to 35 days to complete the Active Directory itself. Okay. In Microsoft environment. So I used to train the candidates on that Microsoft environment, but right now I completely shifted my uh, my focus onto the AWS and DevOps. Any which ways, it's a disaster recovery password. Next, 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 and install. Done. That's it. It is going to take a lot of time to configure it. So let it come automatically. It will be restarted. So again, coming back to the decommissioning. So here, whatever the Entra application, what is that? Enterprise applications are there. So I'm going to delete this application. This is not required anymore. So I just want to show you how we can integrate Azure with AWS environment. So that's why I have shown you all these things. Okay, so I'll go to the properties, delete. I'm deleting that application, right? So in the IAM Identity Center also, if I refresh it, I'll go back to the settings and then action, change the identity source to the IAM Identity Center disk directory and accept it. Change the identity source. Done. Okay. So once we have changed it, now our Active Directory has been installed so that the server got rebooted.
Chetan, one question. We didn't had Active Directory, when we were integrating with Identity Center in our AWS, right?
No need of Active Directory. No?
Yep.
We
So
already have in the Azure, no?
correct. So now the users
Hmm.
in AWS account, they
No.
don't have any access. They are not in any Active Directory. They are only in Azure Active Directory.
We are getting the users from the Azure Active Directory.
Okay. Sure.
See, how company environment will be nice, will be looking like means when you enter into the company, so they will give you a laptop which is already integrated into the Active Directory. Okay, and then you will be given with an user email and password. So with that user email and password only, you can directly log in into your computer, right? So when you log in into the computer, that login authentication will be connected to the Active Directory. Okay, Active Directory has to provide the approval for you so that the user is already available in the Active Directory. So this user can be logged into the laptop. So if I have to show you the higher level hierarchy, how it will be means. So let us take, this is your laptop. Okay. So in the laptop, when you provide the username and password, then what will happen means, in general, inside the laptop which are not integrated with the Active Directory, if you go to system 32, there will be a SAM file will be there. So if I go to Windows, system 32, SAM, there will be, I think, the system 32, when we have to provide, so where is the SAM file that is located? SAM file in Windows. Security account manager. Yeah. Config system 32 config. Inside this config folder, I think it is not, I don't have the permission to access this. Okay, no problem. So in the system 32 folder, inside this config folder, you will be having a file called as SAM. Okay. So the file full form is security accounts manager. So what it will be having here is it will be having your local username and password. So if this laptop is not connected to the Active Directory, so when you log in, when you provide the username and password, then the computer will talk to the SAM file, SAM file, and check for the username and password. If the username and password is correct, then it will allow you to log in. Okay. So this is normal authentication process. But when you go to when you are connecting your computer or laptop with the Active Directory, then what will happen here is, so the authentication will be happen through the Active Directory. Inside the Active Directory, we are going to create the users. User will be there, and for that user, we are going to provide the password. So whenever you are logging into your company computers, you will be giving, like, for example, I am giving like Chaitanya at the rate so and so company.com. Okay, and as well as, for example, Amit is giving his user credentials means Amit at the rate so and so company.com, or else you will be seeing like this also, your company name. So for example, ABC slash, your name will be there. So, and then you have to provide the password over here. Then you will be logging into your computer. So then what happens means, your computer will not look for the SAM file. Okay, security accounts manager file. It is not going to look for that file. It will directly communicate with your Active Directory and checks whether that particular user is there or not with the help of a protocol called as Kerberos. With the Kerberos protocol, what will happen? The username and password will be sent to the Active Directory, and Active Directory will be checking out whether the user is there or not. If the user is there, then authentication will be successful and the user will be logged into the laptop. Once the user is logged in, then the credentials will be cached. Every time you don't need to connect to the Active Directory. Once the user is logged in into the first time, for the first time when the user logins, then automatically it will be connected to the Active Directory. And second time onwards, if you don't have the Active Directory connection also, you will be able to log in. So these credentials will be cached. Now what we are doing here is we have the AWS account is there. We have the AWS account is there. So inside the AWS account, creating the other users and providing the authentication to those users and providing the username and password, that application is there. And again, for example, there is a Bitbucket or Git is there. For that also, again, creating the user account, providing the credentials. And again, for example, there is any another application is there. So creating multiple user accounts for a single user means that user will be totally confused which user account he has to use. The user will be totally confused. So now what I want to do here is I want to go for a single sign-on. So single sign-on in the sense, what we are doing here is, so this is my AWS account. Whoever are the users that we are created in the Active Directory, with those users only, with those user accounts only, so the user has to log in into his laptop. Once he logged into the laptop, when he connects to the AWS environment, automatically he will be able to log in into the account, and whatever the permissions that are provided for that user, that will be checked out. And now this particular configuration used to be there in the olden days. Okay, but right now what happened here is everyone are converting their on-premises Active Directory. They are converting the on-premises Active Directory to the Azure Entra. Okay, Azure Active Directory. Why? Because Azure, Microsoft provides several applications. So different applications we cannot get different accounts. No, so they are simply integrating with the Azure Active Directory. Previously it is called as Azure Active Directory. Now it is called as Azure Entra ID. So in this Azure Entra ID, all these users will be synchronized, and whenever we create the users in the Azure Entra, automatically the users will be synchronized with the on-premises Active Directory. Now what we have done, we connected our Azure Active Directory users to the AWS environment, so that when you log in into your laptop through the Active Directory authentication, you will be able to access the AWS account, and whatever the permissions that are provided for you on the multiple accounts, single sign-on can be happen with the help of IAM Identity Center. So that is what the concept that we have seen now. Is it clear now?
Yes.
Confused?
No, got it. And same thing happens, whether you connect with, GitHub or Bitbucket or any other.
You have to add that application to your Entra. So how I have added the AWS application to the Entra, in the same manner, if you add the enterprise application to your Azure Active Directory, then you can be, with a single sign-on, you can be able to access the Git, Bitbucket, whatever, GitLab, everything. Okay. Right. So now let us go back to our Active Directory. Instances, with the public IP, go to the MSTSC, remote desktop. MSTSC means Microsoft Terminal Service Console, the full form. Otherwise, you can simply type remote desktop connection. Provide the IP address over here. Username is administrator, ADMINISTRATOR, administrator @polaris.local, and the password for that administrator. Now we are logging into our Active Directory. So that's it. Previously, if you see here, when I go to sysdm.cpl, previously it is in the workgroup environment. Now it is in the domain environment. Now this is our domain controller. So whatever you are seeing here, this is our domain controller. Okay, this one. Okay, inside this domain controller, I want to add the users. So how I can add the users? I will go back to server manager, or else simply you can give the command dsa.msc. If you give dsa.msc, the users and computers console will be open, or otherwise you can go to the tools. In the tools, you can see directory users and computers are there. If you click like this also, you are going to route to this particular page only. So what I have given here, I gave dsa.msc. You will be moving to that particular page. Otherwise, if you go to the tools, users and computers, then also you will be moving on to that particular page only. Okay, the directory users and computers console. Now under users, if you want to create the users, you can create the users under the users organizational unit. Otherwise, what you can do here is, here you can create a new OU, that is my AWS OU. AWS OU. Okay. So here we have created an this organizational unit is related to the Active Directory, not related to the AWS organizations. That OU is different and this OU is different. Don't get confused. New user, same, Akhil. Next, and provide the password for Akhil. I don't want to change the password. And then simply you can click on Bala. So here you can give like this. Finish. So now I will add only 2 users. Later we will see if you want some 10 users, 20 users also, you can add them. But one more thing that I need to change here is ncpa.cpl. I'll go to the network security properties. Network properties. Inside that, I just want to check out the IP address, DNS of this server. Is it changed? Yeah. This is going to be changed. Okay. So now what I can do, ipconfig/all 10.25.2.18. So this is the server IP. 10.25.2.18, 10.25.0.2. So these are the IP addresses. Okay. Good. So now we have a user account created. For this user, I will provide the email address also. The email will be akhil@polaris.local. And for Bala also, I will provide the email bala@polaris.local. Done. For both the users, I have provided the email. Now what I want to do here is I want to set up the Active Directory AD connector. So previously we used managed Microsoft AD. Now we are going with the AD connector. Next, small, and next, in which VPC? In the Polaris VPC. I can go with subnet 1, subnet 2. Next, and the domain name is polaris.local. DNS is 10.25.2.18. And the alternative DNS is 10.25.0.2. And the account name is administrator, 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 and the password, whatever the password that we set for the administrator, that what we have to provide over here. Okay, good. Next, and create the AD connector. So this AD connector creation will take some 10 to 15 minutes of time. Okay, once the AD connector is available, which means that this connection is established from our Active Directory to the directory services. So there will be directory services. Okay, directory services. So from the directory services, we can connect to the IAM Identity Center. On top of that, what you will have the AWS organizations. Okay. This should be available. So that's about the Active Directory configurations which we are doing in the AWS environment. I hope you understand this. The last session, whatever we have done in this session and as well as the Azure Active Directory, I hope everything is clear. Any questions?
No.
Here you can see we have the Active Directory up and running. So whatever the AD connector is there, that is up and running. Now I will go to the IAM Identity Center again. Go to the settings, change Identity Center, Active Directory, Polaris.local, which means our Active Directory which we have created in our AWS environment, and change the identity source. Done. Resume the synchronization. Once we have resumed the synchronization, the user should be coming from that particular Active Directory. So startup guide, this is all fine. Users add. So the username is Akhil. Akhil user is added. Bala user is added. Next, save the configuration so that the users will be synchronized. If I go back to the users, here we have to check out those users will be available. There you go. Akhil@polaris.local, Bala@polaris.local. Whichever the users that we have created in the Active Directory, those users are available in our IAM Identity Center. Now what I can do, I can apply the permissions on the AWS accounts. Same. Assign the users. On our development account, assign the users. The user will be, you can set up a group also. If you want to set up for group of users the same permission, you can directly assign the group also. For Akhil user, I want to provide the S3 access. So whatever the access that you want to give, you can give. I'm just giving a small introduction to that. So you can go with the fine-grained policies, whatever the IAM policies that you are having, you can give that also. For example, I think for the production account, for Bala user, assign users. Okay, before I go into the user assigning, let me create the permission set. Create a permission set, custom permission set, customer managed policies, attach policy. The policy name is, what is the policy that we have created? Policies, Polaris B1, EC2 state change policy is there. No? Let me copy this. Next, next, create. Once we have created this, what are the permissions that are having here? Okay, let's see. So I will go back to the AWS account. go to the Polaris, AWS Polaris. For Banu user, Bala user, what I will do? I will provide the Polaris AWS B1 EC2 state change. Submit. That's it. So like that, you can assign the user permissions. Okay, you can leave the page. Submit it. Expand the details. Not supported policy with the ARN. Okay, what is the ARN of this? The ARN is this one. Let me go back to my assign users, cancel, permission set. Okay, so customer policy, detach policy, attach policy. I will provide this actually. Okay, done. So attach the policy. Now what will happen here if I go back to the AWS accounts? In the production account, AWS Polaris, assign users and groups, users, Bala, next. I want to assign Polaris AWS V1 EC2 state change. Submit. What happened? Here on AWS IAM. Okay, it is asking for the policy in that account. Okay, 963209 policy AWS Polaris B1 EC2 state change. The policy of that particular account it is asked. But here we are giving the policy of our account. Okay, no problem. We will create that. But as of now, what I can do, I will give the S3 access. Or else EC2 access, the common access. Okay, for time being, I am providing like this. And we will create a policy in that account and I will apply the policy over here. I will go with EC2 access. Like that, you can provide the permissions for the users and access the users. So that's about your Active Directory configuration, user integration, and setting up the users. Okay. So this is the concept of your complete IAM. Is it clear what we have done? AWS IAM, creating the IAM users, creating the policies with the help of JSON, and then we have created the users and roles, and then cross account access, AWS organization integration, and then we have seen what we have seen, managed Microsoft Active Directory, and then we checked out the Azure Active Directory, and then integrating the users out with our on-premises Active Directory. The AD connector. I won't say it's an on-premises; it's an Active Directory connector. And then we have integrated all the users, permission sets, IAM Identity Center. These are all comes under the IAM security concepts. I hope you understand this. Any questions? Okay, just complete the practice right now. That's it. So tomorrow we will meet and discuss. Yes.
Sorry, one last question. Why did we use AD connector? I saw we are using it, but
Why we are using the AD connector? Tell me why we are using it. By looking into the diagram, you have to tell me that. You tell me what did you understand from here. I will tell you whether it is correct or not.
so what I understood was, from the Microsoft, the Azure directory, right? We connected with
No, that's not
I.
Azure directory.
Okay,
What is the?
this is for managed AD which we connected in AWS.
That is not managed AD. We created. You saw everything, and again you are asking means. See, here we have created the Microsoft Active Directory server now. So here we converted the Active Directory normal server into a domain controller now, and then we have added the user in this servers now.
Okay.
So where is that server created? That server is created in the AWS environment,
Right.
and that server, so it is not Active Directory is not managed by AWS, no. So we have our own Active Directory, and I want to integrate that Active Directory to my Identity Center. So how I can integrate that to my directory services and Identity Center with the help of?
Okay. I got it. So basically, this server we connected separately as a EC2 for AD, right?
Yeah.
That was not a managed service. That was
Managed service means previously in the last session we
correct.
discussed about the managed service.
Got it.
There we don't have any Active Directory server, no. So
Okay. Got it.
later we created a server to manage the Active Directory.
Yes.
Manage in the sense to create the users in the Active Directory. Directly I cannot communicate with the managed Active Directory. So I created a client server so that it can communicate with the Active Directory and we can create the users in the Active Directory. But right now what we have done, we directly created Active Directory in a server and integrated that Active Directory through the AD connector to our directory services. Okay.
Yep. Got the answer.
Right. So that's about your Active Directory and how we are going to create the multiple Active Directories and assign the users with our AWS account and AWS environment. Okay.